Hi everyone, welcome to On the Other Hand. I'm Marianne Zerscher. This is a process video, totally. I'm not going to even say more than that. I'll get started. I'm starting a new sculpture. I've got 3 of these guys done, and you can see they're quite long. So it's going to be, well, it'll be whatever it's going to be. But at this point, I'm allowing myself to have it about 26 inches or almost 30 inches in height. And I decided to go with round. It doesn't have to stay round. I've got to do one more, and then I'll start adding the wire. So I'm just layering this. This is one of the dangers of chicken wire. And I bled all over the mat. Anyway, fingers bleed, whatever. You can wear gloves. I don't like wearing gloves. If gloves work for you, then by all means do so. They just, I don't know, they bother me. So I'm just going to keep going around and putting this chicken wire in different places as I go up. I'm pulling all these different threads and things. I decided to do something a little different. I'm going to go with browns and mustards and maybe a little green. I don't usually do this. I usually do a lot of different colors, but I kind of like the idea of doing something more, I don't know, like challenging myself, because I love color and I kind of like, that's my thing, so it's interesting to sort of decide, let me try to do something a little different and see what happens. Kind of everything in here and a little bit of red of some kind. We'll see, we'll see how far that goes. I mean, I'm not going to stick with this if it's just feeling awful, but I'm going to give it a shot. First of all, shall we just survey the mess? And laugh, right? I mean, there was some method to the madness. There's no method, and there's just nothing but chaos and madness at this point, but that's okay. One of the things that is happening here is that it's really easy. I've been sort of pinning instead of just stitching stuff on. And what can happen is it all starts to get very precious, like little cutout things. And I don't want that. I want a wilder, sort of more, energetic movement here. So I'm just going to start stitching it down. I rather like this. I think I might actually stitch into this, and then I rather like this, and so I'll stitch this, and then not anything else, because I want it to get more wild looking and not so, I don't want fussy. I want kind of crazy. Right? So that's what I'm going for. And that, I think, is one of the harder things to do, is to make it look not too manicured. I don't, it's not my vibe. All right, here we go. Going ahead and stitching in here, and also underneath, attaching this so that it's attached to the wire, to the chicken wire. I just have a couple more that I want to attach here in this color thread, but the yellow, or whatever this is, Rapunzel's Gold from the thread gatherer, that's what I used in here. I might do a little bit more to just secure that. And then I had found this branch, no idea where this came from, but I really liked this, and it kind of follows the curves of this wire. So I'm going to go ahead and attach that. I've attached it here. And I rather like that. One of the things that I have kind of come up against is that I've been trying to strategize when I post on YouTube, and I've been thinking a lot about when to post and what to post, and what's happened is that I've it's taken the fun out of posting at all. And so, as some of you may have noticed, I'm not posting as much as I have been, and so I'm going to give myself a new challenge. I kind of like challenges. So the challenge that I'm giving myself is to only post things that I actually care about, and to not think about strategy and not think about any of that, to really just go ahead and post things and do things that I find interesting, and that's it, not do anything else. I got caught up in trying to figure out how to do shorts, and that took a whole days of time, and maybe I'll do some more shorts, but I don't love doing shorts. It's not really a format that I enjoy. I haven't done a long video in a while. Maybe this will be the long video. I don't know. I just want to share my joy of creating stuff, and being an artist and working in my studio, and all the things that I love about that, which is, I have these moments of quiet, and it's peaceful, and I get to just sort of be here and not think about, worry about anything, or it's just, this is kind of like time for me. And what I've been doing is I've also been going back to some of my it's mixed media, but it's not so much stitching, it's more painting, and I really love that. So I kind of like, I'll do this, which is a very meditative process, and then I will go over to one of my collages and work on that, and then I'll come back and I'll do a little stitching and wait for the paint to dry or whatever, and then I'll go back to whatever I'm doing over there. And that seems like a really nice way to work, and it's working for me, so I'm gonna keep doing that. I'll show some of a couple pieces that I've been working on. These were old pieces that I was going to cut up, and then I thought, you know what, let me just not cut them up. Because they're on pretty thick cardstock, and there's a lot of collage, so lots of layers, so it's actually quite hard to stitch through anyway. And I thought, let me just work on them and see if I can get them to sort of be a piece in and of themselves. And one of them in particular I really love. So let me find my needle, which just dropped. And I want to do this, and then I'm going to tackle this guy. One of the things I'm having to do with this vessel, because it is so big, right? It goes all the way up. It's more like a sculpture than, I don't know, whatever it is I have to hold it in my lap. It's much easier to stitch when I have it in my lap. And what I'm doing right now is I'm attaching, I found this rice paper. It's got like little things in it, which is kind of cool, and I like that. And I am attaching the rice paper and this branch together around the wire, and I'm doing it at the same time. The other thing, it's much better if I just do what feels joyful to me. And so at this moment, this feels right, and I'll see how I feel in the next moment. I'm just about at the point of finishing this. So I went ahead and attached this, and now I'm putting this bit of linen over it just to obscure it a little bit. It was a little too, I don't know, precious, whatever. It was not exactly what I knew I was going to cover it. This is where all my collage and painting and stuff comes into play, because if I think of this as a canvas or collage, then layering makes total sense. And why not, So I'm just going to do a little running stitch along here. And then I'll see where I am. I'm also catching the chicken wire in here. I'm trying to catch it. That's what I'm doing right there. I'm applying different shapes, and let's do it this way. And then I'm going to put this gauze over part of this just to tone it down a little, just the way I would if I were doing a collage. And you would take a more translucent color and just do a little sort of mask it a bit. So that's the idea there. And then I'm going to start working on this. So I had set out this challenge for myself to keep this in these kinds of browns and ochres and a little maybe reds, and I'm feeling really constrained by that. Something here needs to shift. There's I don't know. So I don't know. So what I do when I don't know is I just keep moving, and I can come back to this later. But right now I'm going to work on stitching this down, and then I'll come back to everything else and figure it out. I'm liking this much, much better. I'm going to zoom in a little so you can see. Pink. I'm adding a little pink. This is cheesecloth, hand-dyed by Julie, who I met over on Instagram. And she does these beautiful hand-dyed cheesecloths, and I bought a whole bunch of them. And so I'm incorporating that. There's my hand-dyed cheese shirting, little gauze, some African beads. There are the African beads. Linen, wool, paper, found objects, cotton, silk. This is some raw silk that I hand-dyed, did a stencil print on. Rice paper. This is some from an almanac that I found in, this was from Stockholm. Some hand-dyed linen from Pat Polly, some collage that I cut up. And above, I'm starting to add this. This is the bark, mulberry bark from Steph Francis, and that collage that came off of this big collage. All right, to be continued. The problem I'm having with this, with videotaping this piece, is that I shot all this footage and then none of it's usable because my head's in the way, I'm off the camera, and so I don't know, I have to figure out a better way to do this. I mean, I'm doing this now standing up, which isn't ideal, but it's problematic. But it's amazing when you go through and you're editing video how much is superfluous or repetitive. All right, so mostly at this point, I am just going to attach this, trying to keep that against there. I want to make sure that when I stitch this, this lines up with this part. That's the thing I'm thinking about. And of course, it's always nice to actually have this on camera, which is a lot harder than one would think. So even when I had this positioned and my stitching was on camera, my head was right in the frame. And that's all you could, and I kept thinking, okay, that's not great. It's not what we were going for. This thing is a bit unruly. I'm going to stitch this and then I'll move on. It's coming along. For my final message on this video, and this is all about this journey that I've been on these last few years, really since my mother died, of kind of finding myself in my mid-60s. Better late than never. But one of the things I've realized is that I am an achiever. I am an achiever. I am so often pushing myself to do more, to challenge myself. And I think all of this is great. As an artist, it's a good thing to challenge and to always be curious. I'm always asking, what if? What if I do this? What if I do that? But like anything, there's a balance. I can feel when the balance is becoming imbalanced. It's this feeling of you have to do more. And so the other day, when I was feeling that, the other thing I should say is that it starts when I know when there's an imbalance because it begins to take the joy away. It becomes this kind of like this rather than this kind of beautiful flow. So I stopped. I noticed this the other day, and so I stopped and I asked myself, why? why do you feel you need to push yourself so hard all the time? I think that question, why, is such an important question. So I sat with that and I really thought about it for a few days. And I came up with some really important answers, which are personal to me and my life. So I'm not going to share them because I don't think it matters. I think what matters for my remaining years, which I hope, by the way, are many, I continue to investigate and ask myself these questions until I can find an answer. Because once I have that answer, I'm able to then work with it. It's another layer of understanding myself a little better, which inevitably shows up in my work. There was a moment I had set myself up this challenge that I was going to work within a particular set of colors. And I love color, so much so that I wear a lot of color. I love being around color. Our walls are all painted different colors. I love that. I love color. It makes me feel vibrant and alive, and it's exciting. I notice color. I'm very aware of color. I have a small digression. I have one of my girlfriends whom I adore. She always wears neutrals, black, white, neutrals. And so I put on this outfit, cream colored jeans, white t-shirt, this sweater. Of course, I had to add color, so I put on the scarf. But I said to my husband, I'm going full on Mary. That's her name. And he looked at me and he said, yeah, you really are. I texted her. I told her. And she laughed. And then she came over the other day to visit. And she said, wait a second. Are you doing a Mary? And I was like, absolutely. I had to do this. So it's sort of our joke. And every now and then she'll show up when we meet and she'll have on something really colorful. And I'll say, oh my God, you're totally doing, you're doing an Ariane. She'll say, yeah, absolutely. So anyway, on this project, I had set myself a range of colors that were more like earth tones, ochres, well, you saw in the video. And at a certain point, I felt really constrained and stifled by that. And I thought, why? I mean, it's great to have a challenge. But at a certain point, if you're feeling trapped or constrained by it, I don't think that's, for me, a positive thing. So I decided to allow myself to go with more color, and I added pink. Now, pink is not a color that I ever used to even like. It was one of those colors that I was kind of like now. When I was pregnant with my daughter, I didn't know if she was, what the sex was of my baby inside my belly, but I was constantly drawn to wearing pink. I'm not kidding. And ever since then, I love pink. Not to wear so much, although sometimes I do, but I love the color pink. So I incorporated some pink, and I'm feeling much better now about the project. So all of this is to say that in my continuing journey of deep self-reflection, it is a way to be more authentic in my expression as an artist. And I feel that. I feel that my art is coming into its own. It's really an expression of me, and I'm loving that. I used to hear artists and they would talk about expressing themselves through their art, and I always felt a little baffled by what does that mean? But I feel as though I do know what that means. Absolutely. And I think one of the most exhilarating and exciting aspects of creating is now that I have gotten to this place where I really see that I am putting myself so completely in my art, and it shows. It's very much my style, my and I don't mean that it's just sort of all the same. I mean, I hope as an artist I'm constantly growing and learning and trying new things. I would like to continuously evolve just as I'm evolving as a human being. So, sending all of you love and embracing your evolving selves. My goal is to be the very best version of myself that I can possibly be, one day at a time. Have a beautiful day, and thanks for watching.